Hi, today I want to present The Monkey's Paw by a screencast and, let you know what I have analyzed by the story with different things. And it's by me, Hugo Milhulst. I will start out with the relevance of elements in this setting in this story. I'll start out with this sentence. The night was cold and wet, but in the small paler of Lebanon villa. And here we really start off with getting to know the weather condition, how it is, cold and wet. We kind of feel how it is in this like environment, and what time we are in. It's night, and in some sort of sense, we get a feeling of how the setting is from the starting and where we are with the labor of the villa. So we just have a feeling of this is like maybe in the um, out of nowhere in some sort of sense. The villa doesn't say that, but it's implied later in the story. Here we also, in the setting, get told that the fire is burning brightly, and then later on it's getting told that they're gazing at the dying fire. So we are actually told that here in the start it's really cozy with them playing board game, and things are quite nice. But later on, it seems that uh, um, the fire is dying, and I'll come into that later on with the foreshadowing. Well, here at the second part, we also get put into the setting from the start, in the brightness of the wintry sun the next morning. So here we also get to know, okay, so it is bright, it is wintry, it's probably cold, but there is sun still. There's probably hope in some sort of sense. In the third part, it's get mentioned. The room was in darkness, and the sound of subdued weeping copied from the window. And here the darkness is actually mentioned three times in the part three, and it in this way the setting is getting more darker. It's getting more scary in some sort of sense, that we really don't know what's gonna happen. And later on, the match went out, and he paused to strike another. We get told that it's really hard to for Mr. White to actually turn on light. It's hard to give life to something. Yeah, the concept of tragic flaw in the monkey's paw. So in the beginning, we get told that he said slowly, "It seems to me I've got all I want." Later on, he wishes for £200, and so on. We actually know that Mr. White actually have what he needs. He doesn't really need anymore. He's actually a happy man as he is right now. But then he chooses to wish for something more. He chooses to wish for £200 and knows that it will make his life worse. That the piano, and by getting warned from this soldier, and we see the consequence right away, with the piano, but later on with his son caught in the machinery, repeated Mr. White in line 181. And uh, then they get uh, uh, some money back from their son's death, and he asks for how much it is. And in knowing that he wished for £200, you're probably going to figure it's going to be £200. And that's also kind of foreshadowing, but also knowing that he really messed up, and that he is now down in the tragic flaw. Yes, the structure of the story is quite interesting, and I would like to do with the architectural model, um, where we see the subject is obviously Herbert. We have him introduced from the kind of beginning, um, and his mission is in this story is fulfilling others' request. In the beginning, he kind of fulfills his own request, but mostly it's actually his son who's asking for these £200. Um, and um, the help of this is the monkey's paw, but it's actually all the opponent because it's also making all these bad things that if you wish for something, then it's bad, something else is going to happen. And the center of this is we don't really know, and that's where um, you know, the fantastic story comes in. Rather, it's destiny or magic. We don't really know. So if it's supernatural or not. But the receiver is often Herbert, and maybe also his wife. So, how does foreshadowing get into the story, as I mentioned before? Well, it's obvious that here it's got mentioned. If you keep it, don't blame me for what happens. Pitch it on the fire again, like a sensible man, in line 79. And here it's directly said, don't blame me for what happens. That something's gonna happen. Something is gonna happen if we wish for something, and that's clearly a sign of foreshadowing. He sat alone in the darkness, gazing at the dying fire. And here we also get a sort of sense of there's something going on with this fire. Something is going to die, something is not well. And that's a kind of also foreshadowing, which is essential for this story that Herbert's son actually dies. The theme of this story is, I would say, mostly hesitation and ambivalence. It gets told in the story that I don't know what to wish for, and that's a fact, he said slowly in line 103. That's Mr. White. And in this way, he's saying, I really don't know what I should do. I have no idea. And hesitating of what his decision should be. He's also doing that by, not knowing if he should take the monkey's paw out, or, in that sense, he's also not wondering if, or he's wondering rather what to do. And here the element of ambivalence comes in. It is foolish and wicked, he faltered. Wish, repeated his wife, raised his hand. I wish my son alive again. And here the ambivalence of Mr. White of what he should do clearly comes in. He doesn't know what to do, and he has this ambivalence of maybe something worse gonna happen if he's gonna wish for something again. The superstition comes in. Well, I wish for £200, then that would just do it, and afterwards a piano fell down like this. So and that's where the fantastic tale comes in, because that sort of superstition, we don't really know whether if it's magic or if it's the destiny or the supernatural, as you would say. Um, as I mentioned earlier, he wished for £200. The crash piano greeted the words. Later on, it's Herbert, she screamed. It's Herbert. Line 273. Later on, from his wife gave him courage to run to the side, and then the gate beyond the street lamp flickered opposite, showing the quiet and desert road. They really never find out if it's Herbert down at the door, and in that way, we actually never know if it's magic this Porsche doing, if it's making an illusion, or if it's actually just destiny. It's random that these things are happening, that the son died, and there was a knocking at this door. Thank you for listening.